What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to the major domo of Fierce Females Glasgow in Scotland. She is a well traveled Mae Young Classic first kind of tournament alumnus, as well as a well tenured veteran of Japan. She is the one, the only BigFemVader, Ayesha Raymond, and we're talking Netflix's. Might have fallen asleep a couple times when I first tried to watch it, and it stayed up for my. I just my brain works like that. And again, I'm like, I'm so glad my wife and kids are not into the pro wrestling and MMA and shit like that. Not to say they don't, but like, will they be if I'm not in the room? Will they be watching it? No. Because they know certain wrestlers' names. No, right? But I love that because again, like I'm gonna get sucked down so many fucking wormholes because all I watch is some form or facet of somebody getting fucking dumped on their fucking head or kicked or punched in the face. And if it's not pro wrestling and MMA, it's dumbass memes on my social media, right? So I fell asleep watching it just because my brain works as such that it maybe shuts off. Maybe there's a dead man switch what happens and it's not pro wrestling related or MMA related or combat sports related. And my wife, my poor wife, gets up with anxiety and this thing is fucking playing on. Since she was like, wait, you're reviewing this? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, this is so fucked up. And I was like, is this my fucking receipt for like the Wild Wild Countries and the other dumb shit that I've.
No, because I actually enjoyed this. I did. While our country was educational, you didn't enjoy it. You just wanted to open my mind. This I generally did enjoy, even though the last episode did to be honest. If anybody doesn't want any spoilers, click off now.
Yes.
This is your issue. It's been out for about 3 weeks, so like.
Has it? I thought it only was like the last week because Mary said as it was like running kind of a time constraint and whatever, and she's like, "Why didn't you fucking watch it 3 weeks ago?" And I was like, "I didn't know we're doing this shit until Sunday." And then Monday is your birthday, so I'm not doing anything. I don't even think I wrote a message and whatever of my adorance of my wife and what she means to me, and then I fucking logged off. I didn't touch social media. I didn't whatever the fuck, and I tried to make it about her because by doing this, there's so much time. And even before I did this, you know, either driving Uber fucking 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and in between doing interviews at live events and everything like that, and even before doing Uber, taking the bus anywhere from 1 to 4 hours during the duration of our marriage to go to work, right? So I'd be gone all day and split days off. And the minute that I got my fucking bearings in, it was time to fucking do it again. And the same thing with my fucking, when I went to broadcasting school. It was 4 hours away on the bus and what have you. So that kind of whatever. So anytime my wife, my kids have a fucking birthday, I am not working. That is one way to go, fuck you, I don't need this gig. I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
So you should do.
Yeah.
Don't make the mistakes.
Yeah, so I thought it fucking started like on Friday or some odd.
No, it's been out for a while because I remember I went back down south for a week last week, and people were watching it then. And then when WhatsApp and Facebook and every incel social media crashed for some reason, everybody felt the need to watch Squid Games. So I don't get how you didn't jump on this bandwagon.
Yeah, because there's been so much. Where is Bray Wyatt gonna end up? Danielson, Punk, Ruby Riot, and
Think about something else for a second. Wrestling will be there afterwards.
that's not how my mind works. That's not how my mind works. I really do love it, but I have. So I went to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live. They had a phenomenal world title match of Mike Bennett and the Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson. Again, spoilers: Chris Dickinson is your new United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion in the inaugural one at that. And there was a moment where, like, this had been the fucking first time since I got COVID. Well, no, I went to Suzuki and Gresham, so this is my second event. But where it was kind of weird is the fact that it was in the same venue where I might have gotten COVID, the same fucking room.
Why would you? Do you know what the definition of insanity is?
Yes, doing the same fucking things and expecting different results. That's my fucking life. I am fucking Squid Games. I'm the fucking like I that's the thing that kind of was like a moral quandary, right? Because I started identifying myself with the fucking characters, right?
Which one? Because I know which one I was.
The pickpocket.
Why?
No, no. Because
Oh, you or me?
no, so
You're
I I I felt like the lead character. Forgive me if I'm fucking up his name. I'm not even getting to whatever because I don't want all of South Korea doxing me. But yeah, the lead character with the fucking ex-wife and the new husband and the daughter and what have you. Because like that's how I feel. It's like I work and whatever the fuck, and at times I feel like maybe I'm my dad, right? Where my dad, was a street performer for the majority of my childhood, right? Especially the one identified in San Francisco, in the Bay Area here in the States, and I remember him almost an hour after my sister was born, going out to play, and my mom was like, "What the fuck?" And she used it against him forever. Like he's his own boss, da da da, whatever, whatever. But that was the thing. It's just this need to fucking provide for the family, and we would always have the stuff, the Sega Genesis and the Nintendos or what have you. But all we wanted is him. Like, my sister and I wanting him to take us to the park rather than go to like EB Games or GameStop or KB Toys or whatever the fuck was there, Toys R Us, right? And get the new thing, right? So like I kind of felt like the lead character, but also I knew that he was more fucked up than I. I also knew that this is the reason why I stay away from gambling. Um, whether it be like I grew up in Inglewood where they had Hollywood Park Casino and racetrack, so I knew a lot of people who bet on the ponies. Right, one of the reasons why I resist the urge to go to Vegas. I don't have the urge, but people invite me, like, hey, let's go for a weekend. To me, it's not because my dad was such a degenerative gambler, which I like. Again, at different points, the lead character was both myself and my dad. So you elicted some weird fucking feelings, but that's what it was supposed to do. Also, the length of the fucking deals. It wasn't one like 9 1 hour fucking whatever. It's 110 of the first one, 59 minutes the second one. Like the run times were different, so I think it's like to kind of get you in the mindset like anything could happen and really fucking get you in, like pull you in.
For me, I'm a cross between the old man until the inevitable,
Okay.
and the pickpocket. That's why I was like, you keep the pickpocket. It's a cross between them both. Because I could understand his plight from the beginning. He just seemed like an old man who just knew his moments were going to be up, and gonna have fun with life.
You did a reference there, and I don't know if you fucking realize you did, but have you seen the Mel Brooks comedy of Life Stinks?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've seen it.
Um, Life Stinks. It's not hers. Um, Life Stinks is a rich guy. Like, think of. I think it came out in the early '90s, right? And basically, it was a rich, like, real estate developer, almost carbon copy of Donald Trump, especially during that era of the early '90s, the lifestyles of the rich and the famous, and all that, whatever. Um, so basically they go like, "Hey, you're so high on the hog, and affluent. I bet you can't stay a fucking week on the streets, like L.A. Skid Row." And like, ha, I'll see you that. And I think there was like a developmental thing that he wanted to expand or whatever, and they're like, "We'll give it to you, no strings attached, if you fucking do it, right?" And that was also their fucking way to kind of undermine him and secede him from his own fucking company, right? But there's a gentleman that he fucking meets on the streets called Sailor, right? And Sailor, they had this uh, coda on the streets, right? Of your 11s being up. And what the 11s were in the back of your neck. There's like veins or something or whatever that when you're at the end of your fucking rope and lifeline, that 11s appear, right? And they had this like running joke that your 11s are up, right? So I was that the reference you were making?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yes.
Okay, all right. Because like I was like, that's so the movies that I do watch is so fucking niche and whatever. Like I love Jackass, all of them. I like basketball. I love, what
Basketball was okay, but I couldn't get into Jackass. I couldn't do it. Make me feel sick.
which one you couldn't do?
All of them, every single one, including the series, it wasn't happening.
Okay, well, for me, again, seeing it's just the same as pro wrestling and it's not just pro wrestling. Anytime when I was a kid and they had the fucking tough man competitions where they were picking up boulders and fucking pulling, fucking 18-wheeler trucks and everything like that. I think me being in living in San Francisco and we lived in a Victorian apartment in the city and I was watching like Superman and Mighty Mouse cartoons and shit like that or Tom and Jerry and I guess I might have freaked my fucking parents out because I would get creech up to the fucking window, right? And we're 2 stories up and shit like that. So they're like, "Oh, you know, don't fucking do like Superman or Mighty Mouse and jump out the fucking window, right?" Like my mom, "AJ, don't stop watching that," right? And my dad was like, "Well, son," and I was fucking wee small. I was a little young tyke and whatever, right? But then when I saw like Macho Man, like that dude is again Mighty Mouse and all that shit, Flintstones and all of those whatever, and you see like the first match that you see of anything combat sports is Bret Hart clad in fucking pink with a guy with the you know Jim the Anvil Neidhart with the fucking beard and the megaphone of Jimmy Hart and the fucking sequined jackets and sport coats and everything, and you got Macho Man with Elizabeth and whatever.
You didn't
These are
say
fucking
that I was
cartoons come.
more of a comic book character. You missed
These are
that
fucking
one.
comic book characters come to life. I like, and that's it, and that's where I think kind of my interest of what a human body can do. One of the reasons why I love the Hearts, right? Every time Brett and Owen came down, they talked about Stu choking out a fucking bear, and I was like, if a dude can choke out the bear, but I can't fly out the fucking window, fuck it, I'm choking bears. My entire life has essentially, wanting to be Stu.
Would it be like Jebediah Springfield and choke a bear with your bare hands?
Oh, I know that's a Springfield reference, and I don't. I missed it. My mom thought. My mom thought that what is it? Simpsons and there was a bunch of shit that
Jetsons, probably.
no that she thought were vulgar. And but yet I would sneak. My mom didn't have cable, so I would tape, Raw and whatever the fuck for my mom's house. And for my dad's house, we had cable. Bring it over to my mom's and watch it while she was,
Sleeping.
yeah, 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 or had a migraine.
I could believe
I'm a fiend when it comes to this shit. Like, I don't have drugs or tropes or whatever. It's like combat sports. And again, like I said, I love the fact that my wife and kids, because she'll go like, "Oh my gosh, that person knew the shit you knew," and I was like, "Yeah, but if I got with them, I'd probably not wash myself or anything like that." Which I don't know how the people in fucking Squid Games wash themselves. That wasn't that wasn't a fucking thing.
For me, what do you mean by watch themselves? What do you mean after?
Wash, wash,
Oh, wash.
yeah,
They didn't.
wash.
That's the point. They were eating dry corn. There was no like the guy. Well, we'll skip ahead a few
Yeah,
dozen episodes.
that's what we do.
The old guy ends up peeing himself and has to walk around like that for the next couple of days or hours. I don't even know. Everything blends up.
I didn't even know that they had bathrooms for the contestants, right? Or tribute to, I don't know what the fuck they called them, right? But until that scene of the two gals, going out, the one, she's like, "I'm gonna pee myself," blah blah blah. Then they fucking finally open the door. It was like a 3 minute ordeal, and then the young one goes and like, "Oh, I need to pee too," and like, "Oh, motherfucker, like I did all this work and whatever, and you're kind of resting on what I fucking provided, blah blah blah, whatever the fuck." But one calls to the fucking air ducts, right? Air duct, and find out whatever the fuck. Which that shit was pointless. Do you realize how pointless that is?
No, but I can name you another thing that was also pointless. You go
Okay.
with yours first.
Okay. So the gals go to the fucking, like the two lead gals. They were obviously different females, which I thought for this, it was like, oh, like as much as I'm a purveyor of like, you know, like women's MMA, women's pro wrestling, that everybody has a place. I mean, I was talking to my wife, like there's transgenders, entering both professional wrestling and MMA. I would love a fucking, transgender league or division or what have you. So everybody, so not, now that that's not the weirdness of like somebody that is fundamentally one identifies as the other, does none of the, and also even if you identify, if you go full bore, full Monty, whatever with your transition, your endocrine system that you cannot whatever, like so, and don't say can't happen because Dana White right before my dad passed away. Like I think it was like December 2010, and Ronda Rousey was fucking, mollywhopping gals in Strike Force, right? It's like, oh, well, there's this Ronda character. Would you ever have, her in the UFC? And he says, I quote, "There will never be women in the UFC." And less than a year later, she's the top draw, and 2 years removed from that, I believe, it is two divisions now. In current day, there's four divisions, right, in the UFC, and that's not including Invicta, which is an all female, MMA organization. That's not including Fierce Females, all women's pro wrestling, right? Stardom, Shimmer, Joshi wrestling, what have you, right? Because I think everybody should have a place, and I think, you know, transgender MMA, that could be a thing, right? So let's just do it. Let's just do it and just kind of like pull the wool over, right? So in terms of what I thought was pointless, right? So you have the two gals peeing or about to pee or whatever, and then the younger one is deciding, oh, I'm going to go up to the air vent, right? The air duct, right? And then she discovers the people in the kitchen, and they were pouring sugar into a mixture, right? And she's like, whatever. And she, the gal who was like, oh my god, I'm gonna shit myself. I'm so constipated, as a way to, what is it? As a way of, oh, no, I can't stay. Oh, love y'all though. Oh, he probably doesn't want any spoilers. Shout out to
Oh,
AG East Los Perros. Love you too, bro. Love you too. I saw him at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Albert Gray, I should say. Great dude. Co-host of the main event with Paul Perez and Beto Gray. Good friends of the show. But so that fucking deal was pointless. Like them, like it took a whole 15 minutes of a maybe an hour and change show, or maybe a 57, minute runtime of an episode, where they're doing it, and then they wake up the next, like the younger gal goes like, "Oh, I'll tell you in the morning," which kind of it it felt like, anytime there was a dirty joke when you were younger and you fucking ask your parents about it, and they're like, "Oh, we'll tell you when you're older," whatever. That's what it felt like to me, right? And then the gal, the pesky one that ends up getting with the Shinya Hashimoto looking dude with the snake. That's all I saw was Shinya Hashimoto. See, again, my brain thinks of fucking wrestling.
I didn't even see that until you. Now I can't unsee it.
Yes, that's Shinya Hashimoto, and the late great Shinya Hashimoto,
I
former, what is it? Former Musketeers, along with Chono, Muda, and God, who was the other one? Was it Choshu? No, no, Choshu was before. God, I
no.
forgot. I forgot. But the Four Musketeers, after Baba and Inoki and what have you, that ended up essentially ruling the wrestling roost and what have you. Former NWA champion is Shinya Hashimoto. Former IWGP champion is Hashimoto. As well as, Kota Fuyuki. When Kota Fuyuki passes away, fucking Hashimoto in FMW gets up and throws himself into exploding barbed wire with Fuyuki's fucking ashes. Which, yes, the Brody Lee, tribute in AEW tribute show is, top to bottom, the best tribute show of a pro wrestling kind of presentation. But the visceral fucking and the and Japanese fans, better than anyone, they don't react to anything, and it's just like yes. So that gent, she teams up with that gent later on, but it was like, oh, what was that? And I was like, oh, they were just putting sugar into a mixture. And like, that's it. Even see, like the other lady that teams up with Hashimoto-san with the snake, she's like, what the fuck? And she basically said what I was feeling. Like, we went through this whole fucking thing and nothing.
No, because that's what you see. That was probably their food. I assume that was their food. That's all they were having to eat, because they were having what, dry corn, water, if that.
And Graham Farrell says, hey, you two. Good brother, Graham Farrell. Rocking that ICW beanie with his love. Shout out to Graham. You guys look absolutely splendid. That's some power couple, hashtag power couple goes that Graham has with his gal. But you know what the next game was? It was the thing where they had to they got their little tin with the fucking wafer cookie, right? So I assume that's what they were doing, right? They weren't what is it? Angelo Dawkins. They weren't fucking Red Velvet. No, they were actually, again, I think in pro wrestling, sorry. But yeah, and what ends up happening is there's that game where they have to cut the particular shapes, and all they have is a needle and whatever the fuck, and that's what I believed the mixture was.
What would you have done in that game? Would you have worked out that you could have licked the back and what have you? Or would you have actually spent your time carving it out?
I'm not. I'm not fast enough. Like, that came way too late in the game. I would have been one of the dozen people fucking shot that discovered it, and then whatever. I probably would have gravitated to the gal and the fucking lighting the damn. I would have done like Snake Hashimoto. I would have fucking burnt the fucking needle and whatever. What about
If
you?
you had a lighter, because remember, not everybody had a lighter.
Right, but
Okay, I had one.
so you know, anytime you're faced with a weird fucking situation, right? Yes, Graham Farrell says it's a yes you are a honeycomb game. I got the recipe for that, and I'm gonna make them. Oh
It's
man,
just sugar. It's just sugar then.
I well,
Melted sugar.
so I grew up with what is it? What You guys have it. It's a Cadbury fucking thing. It's crunchy. You guys have
Ugh.
it.
Yeah.
You don't like fucking crunchy?
No, because my sister was obsessed with them when we were little. I like Kit Kat, she liked Crunchy, and I just
Okay. So for
worlds
the
never mixed.
so for those of you that don't know like the British Commonwealth deal, like Cadbury is way bigger in the UK. I believe it's a UK.
It's better than Hershey's. You have
Yes,
no
it
idea
is.
what you're missing.
So why you fucking hate? Wait, I don't understand. Oh, it's better than Hershey's, but you don't like fucking crunchy?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
honeycomb.
And what crunchy is literally a fucking honeycomb brick. Think of Snickers and everything like that that has shit in the middle. But all they do, it's either the best or the fucking laziest confectionery fucking thing because they're like, oh, honeycomb, big long fucking rectangle, and we're just gonna put,
Chocolate.
yeah. I loved it. You guys still have Milo bars?
No. What would Milo bar? Because it
Milo
changed.
bars were exactly crunchy, but rather than fucking the honeycomb, it was fucking Milo, the fucking drink mix in chocolate.
That would have been amazing. No, I have. I've seen them in Jamaica. I've seen them in Jamaica, but they no, we don't have them here. I've seen them in Jamaica.
I saw. Oh, wait, I think. What was it? Oh, that's it. I was in Fiji the first time I tried the Milo bar. This had to be about '92, right? And we went to the cinema. We went to the theater, right? And they had Milo bars, and I was like, I was obsessed. Like at that fucking time, Milo bars and Tang. That was it. Like, and most people are like, oh, quick, and quick is great, but it's different than Milo. Milo is amazing. So
You could eat it from the packet. Are we just
I
selling?
had the fucking tin. We
Yeah,
whatever.
that's with a spoon. Yeah.
Yes, you got to pry that some bitch open and whatever, and yeah, but we were we watched this Jean Claude Van Damme movie where he that was like the first kind of like CGI because he played his twin. One was evil and one was
Twin Dragon.
yes. There you go. I didn't want to say Double Dragon because I know that's a fucking game or what have you. But yeah, and I'm fucking sitting there eating buja mix, which is a Eastern Indian mix. No popcorn. I mean, we might have had popcorn, but fucking buja mix. I was stuffing my fucking face with that shit. Maybe a curry, fucking meat pie, and a Milo bar. And I was just like, fucking, what was it, 7, 8 years old? And I was just loving life. It was fucking great. And Grant Farrell says, laugh my ass off. This conversation is just got amazing. I love crunchies, but nothing beats a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm sure they're better on your neck of the woods. I love my fucking Reese's peanut butter cups, but I have a feeling, especially with the inclusion and how close you are to Cadbury, and that being Hershey's chief competitor over across the pond where I am, but it's native to all of you. Um, I feel like your guys' Reese's is better. Even the fucking I've had the Japanese Kit Kats out of this
Oh,
fucking world.
oh, don't.
Oh, are you are you not a fan, or are you
No,
doing a weight cut?
I'm getting emotional.
You, I know. Japanese Kit Kats. I'm sure you had with over your trips to Japan. You
This is
probably
like a
had a couple of
Spanish
sponsors
you just made
that
Amazon cry.
yeah, like you probably had a couple of sponsors that figured out you like fucking Kit Kats. So like, oh, and there's a fucking I don't know a whole room full of fucking Kit Kat.
It happens every time. Oh no, there was one sponsor where every show that was at, and anytime I used to meet him, he would literally come with a bag of every flavor you could possibly imagine. Lychee flavor,
Oh
deceivingly really good.
no, lychee you can put on anything. I'm gonna put lychee in my curry later today. It's just you can do anything with lychee.
I'm gonna try that. That sounds interesting.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, curry goes well with chutney. What is chutney, right? You get like your tamarind, you got mango, you got whatever. It's sweet and savory. That's why, like, we had a thing of like twisty pretzel, whatever, and they were like nice seasoning flavor. And then I put a fucking a piece of a chocolate cookie on it because again, sweet and savory. That's just the way my taste palette works. You know, like if I'm having eggs or whatever, I'll douse that some bitch in the Asian sweet and sour sauce. You know
I,
the
want, I was gonna say I once made a maple bacon cake.
oh, have you tried the maple bacon as across the pond had the maple bacon donut?
No, but now I want it.
It's fucking breakfast for a buck 80. It's just like your fucking maple bar, right? Which might as well, when you think about it, is essentially the gist of a maple on pancakes or waffles, right? The syrup, right? And then you put a big savory strip of fucking bacon on top of it. You have that in your fucking cup of coffee, and you're good to go.
That sounds glorious. I want
It's
that's my birthday present. Christmas
okay.
present is already good. Christmas, that's what I want.
Well, I mean, you already did the whole fucking cake, so I slobbered as I said that. Yeah,
See, that's how much you want it. Should we get back to Squid Games?
I thought we were. That's it.
Fat
No,
children.
but I mean, fucking Squid Games, right? To me, much like Wild Wild Country, much like anything I like, it's almost like a love song, right? A love song, breakup song, love movie, rom com, horror movie. Kind of has the same tropes of, I guess, human society. It kind of
Yeah,
feeds upon, where you are. Like when people were like marching, the players and then the people with the fucking masks, the soldiers and everything like that, and I was just like, oh fuck, Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall, right? Like that's it. And there were just like things that they had done, and it was like your employer would do, right? It's like if you do this, we'll give you that, right? And
yeah,
every
yeah.
time, yeah, every time somebody died, money to almost desensitize. And I've seen there was a I want to say at the beginning of the summer, there's a drugstore, right, national chain or whatever, in my neighborhood, about 5-10 minutes away from me, right, and this guy, actually these guys stole a case of beer from the Rite Aid, right, and the clerk, the employee, chased them out. They shot him dead. Then Rite Aid goes, because it's a national chain here in the States or whatever. They're like, this shit is closed indefinitely. And then once the fucking police tape went up and out, we're back to business. Now there's a bench. I want to say maybe from his family that has his name. It's just a plastic bench, like a two-seat bench or whatever. It has his picture right above it, a rosary, and then one of those like the tea light candles, but the LED ones into a heart. And I so it went from we're closed indefinitely till we're open and we'll have this thing. And maybe a year from now, not even the fucking memorial, the makeshift memorial will be there. And it's just like, that's it, over a fucking case of beer. And that played in my mind every time when they had the fucking scoreboard of the money, right, and whatever. And it's just like, yep, the fucking thing. How many Amazon employees have we heard? Whatever. How many? What was it? The fast food nation, right? That was a thing of like maybe 10 years ago, where if you watch, you watched, read the book, horrid. If you saw the fucking thing, I think Wilder Valderrama, the fucking voice of Andy Manny and Thesz from That 70s Show, I think in the movie, like he's a person like at a fucking chain slaughterhouse, and he falls into the fucking meat grinder. Shit just keeps on going.
Well, fair about the people. But they say it. The actual security guards say it to two of the actual players. When we die, nobody cares. But when you die, it's a problem. It's because
Mm-hmm.
it's worth money. It's that conveyor belt of just running everybody through that system and then collecting the money. I mean, the players are just as bad as everybody else that's there because at the end of the day, they're told at the beginning, if you quit, everybody will be sent the money. Everybody that died, this money will be divided and sent to all the family, but they choose to stay, and it's just like they're just as bad as the people that kidnapped them. They're just as selfish because only one of them could. That's another thing that they forget about the whole thing. Only one of them can win.
Yeah.
Not all of you can win,
Right. And
and it's like they forget.
well, it's just like, what is it? Deal or no deal? That was the premise of it. Like, you have guaranteed cash and you could fucking walk away, or do we entice you to fucking keep on playing and going up in the rung? It's who wants to be a millionaire, right? Like, you can fucking walk away, right? Whatever amount that you have, it's gambling, right? Uh, you have whatever, and you're like, oh, you win. Like, it happened to me. Like, right before I got into a crash with Blake Troop, right? This it was coming from the Ultimate Fighter. I think this is back in 2018. I want to say so, about 3 years ago, right? And the Nintendo Switches had just came out, and I wanted to get my son Owen the fucking Switch, right? The Nintendo Switch, right? And I was like, I was up $200 on like a fucking 25-cent slot machine, right? And I was like, oh, rather than paying the $100, taking the shit, whatever, walking out, whatever, and then paying an extra $100 out of my pocket, it goes, oh, why pay the fucking $100 when you could have all of it, fucking, pay for it. Oh, he needs games and Wi-Fi connection. So $500. That's my fucking whatever. That's my out. Lose, lose, lose. I walked out of there with 675
Of course
from
you did.
from 180. But then again, I only put about $8, so theoretically I lost $2, but then I lost 170 some odd. But that's
That's what you don't think about until it's gone. You could have had greed.
yeah. And I think no matter what you believe in, no matter we saw with Wild Wild Country, right? The fucking all the love and peace and everything like that, but also I'm gonna fuck everything I want. I'm going to have everything I want, and everybody is going to live under the doctrine that I do, but do as I. That is definitely do as I say, not as I do, right? Because like that dude, the Bhagwan could fucking fuck everyone, their wives, whatever, but you can do that with him or what have you. So it's that. It's the Genesis song, Jesus He Knows Me.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. And you can apply it to everything, every occupation, sometimes even relationships. You can put that to, religious beliefs, political, right? Everybody goes to the well way too many times. And it's good when it's good. And when it's bad, usually the feds are knocking at your door and go like, oh, whatever the fuck.
So I have a question to ask you of what I thought was pointless.
Okay.
We'll skip a few
Episodes.
episodes because it will help your brain remember. So, the challenge where they had to walk across the tempered glass or stainless glass.
Yeah, yeah.
When the woman who was a little bit mouthy came off with the snake-looking guy, I'm not going to say because I don't want to repaint the rest of it in my head.
Oh, ouch.
Ruin it for me. The lock that she used when she grabbed onto him. Did you buy that? He could have literally just broke it.
Yeah.
She just hooked him.
Yeah, well, because I also looked at, I think it was like a movie reviews YouTube page, right? And they had different theories, on what could happen and whatever, which I never understand. Like, I just want to fucking sit there and entertain me. Like, if I'm fucking paying you, my Netflix subscription or buying a movie ticket or buying a concert ticket, yes, singing along and everything like that, but like, I don't want to do more work than the fucking performers. Like, if I went to go see The Strokes, right? If I'm fucking bopping up and down and Julian Casablancas is just like, so last night, he said, for fucking 2 hours, fuck, I'm probably not going to see The Strokes again. As much as I love their fucking music, you know,
What happened?
Ayesha killing TV kayfabe with the grip.
Oh my god! Yes,
Greatest
he knows I'm right.
Graham Farrell.
No,
Graham Farrell, that might be the greatest fucking comment of
no.
all time. I'm done.
Every old school that
Nothing
I've turned
beats
on
that, my brother.
at that point in time. Every single one of them. You know it. You know it. You know
Yes, but look at the brilliance of Graham. Can we just revel in the fucking brilliance of Graham right now? You are killing TV kayfabe,
I
movie
didn't
movie reference, pro wrestling reference. I'm kind of done. Like you win, you win. My proverbial podcast Squid Game. You didn't have to kill anybody, not anyone see you die. That comment alone, I'm fucking giving you all the one.
get uh, that's
Uh,
what
so So I might be the uncultured bloke, but I didn't realize that the South Korean currency is won, like
yeah.
won, and it's games they talk about. So I'm like, oh, 100 and blah 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 won. I'm like, are they talking about the game or the money? I kept on like, call me the uncultured American, but I
Oh,
was, my country drops bombs in people's weddings. So just saying.
it's okay. It's fine.
It's not okay. It's never okay to drop bombs at people's weddings.
No, that's not what I
Jesus Christ. Damn, I'm not fighting with you. Jesus. I don't care. I'm so bad for laughing at that. Ooh. I
Yes.
need to stop. I'm biting the inside of my lips.
Cancel, hashtag stroke cancel woods. I'm gonna leave the pitchfork crew for you now. Here you go. Wait, no, I need some. There you go. There you go.
Oh, did you talk? Because I think I'm gonna be in this laugh fucking attack for a little while. I'm surprised I got that out. Oh shit. God.
So,
Oh,
this is me. I didn't start this.
you grab. Yeah, again, I think it started. It was the little molehill was Graham and his comment is wonderful. Yes. You you two need Jesus. In the words of Genesis, Jesus, he knows me and he knows I'm right. Been talking to Jesus all my life. Yeah. Yeah. You can fill in the rest of the lyrics in the first verse before we get to the chorus. Fuck the breakdown. I'm not practicing what I'm preaching.
Just
I'm willing to make the sacrifice.
why do I need
God will take good care of you. Just do as I say, not as I do. Ba-na-na, ba-na-na-na. Hell yes.
to hurt?
Yeah, so Squid Games, man.
This movie is about moral choices here. I don't need Jesus. I saw
I
the
mean,
plight of humankind.
total disclosure, I was born a Nichiren Buddhist, the same thing that, the Tina Turner. If I chant in the days, I read it some. That's what my mom did. That's what my mom and dad for a time did. So,
Was Jean-Claude Van Damme a Buddhist?
no, there's different sects,
Oh,
but sects, SECT, not sex. I'm sure there's sex in Buddhism too. Um, actually, there's no kind of at least the sect that I practiced as a youngin. There was no oh, you can't do this or you can't do that or whatever. It's just it was almost like Methodists in Fiji, right? You sit there, you sing your hymnals, and you go about your day.
you're supposed to be Zen as a Buddhist. No singing. Just
No, but see, that's a different sect. That's what's his name, Steven Seagal, right? You can Steven Seagal, whatever all you want, but then you have motherfuckers, flying 30 feet if you fucking touch him and shit like that. Or, Richard Gere is a different type of Buddhist, but by all intents and purposes, great actor, but he's an asshole. Yeah, so, like,
Never been a fan.
yeah, I mean,
Didn't like Pretty Woman. I'm
I,
sorry.
I, I saw Officer and a Gentleman. My wife was actually maybe watching him and Susan Sarandon and something. Oh, it's like the something about the dance, because when I was like, holy shit, I've never seen him and Susan Sarandon in the same fucking movie. That's cool. And then it was something about dancing, and I was like, oh, that's the one where he, because I remember watching. This is like pre, like internet as we know it now. Like watching like Entertainment Tonight or Extra, one of those news magazine shows where like at 60 fucking years old, he's learning how to dance, and that was like the whole big fucking thing. And the people were like, oh my, and this is before all of the Dancing with the Stars shows and all that, whatever. They're like, oh my god, he's as good as the like a ballroom dancer. So that's how I kind of remembered it. But yeah, I mean, I don't, I mean, there was a time I said that fucking Tom Hanks was my fucking favorite whatever, and I can't say that now because of the Epstein shit. I mean, the Chili Peppers. You can't go like Chili Peppers, Sublime, and No Doubt, right? And then you get like Offspring or whatever. They define the Southern California sound, like the Southern California experience. Well, I mean, supposedly Anthony Kiedis was on that list on Epstein Island. You know,
Is this me? Please don't anyone hashtag cancel me. But I've always been of the notion I can separate the art from the artist, and I don't think that's a bad thing
Benoit.
to an extent. Yeah, one of my favorite matches is Benoit and Jericho fully loaded. That 30-minute Iron Man match is brilliant. Like, I'm sorry, I could watch it.
I mean, so total disclosure. Oh, go ahead. Go for it.
No, I was gonna say I completely understand and no disrespect to anybody, but I've always been able to do. I can do that. I'm not expecting everybody to do that, but I'm just saying I can do that.
Yeah. So right now I'm on a sabbatical of WWE. Right. Like I just for years and years they've been saying you're not. What is it? It's best for business. You're not in our demographic. Blah blah blah. So now with I'm sorry. With the Roman Reigns, with even Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, even Big E, they looked. Yes, Big E made so much money with the fucking New Day, but he stood on for my liking too long in the tooth. Where, like, I liked him when he was like with the fucking the chalk, the weightlifting chalk,
Uh,
and the 5 count. I thought they should have put the strap on him then, and
you don't
don't.
like the new edition? I think now he shows more character. I think that 5 count.
But he's always been that. He's always been that. That was always there. It's just like the fucking Brian Danielson, right? They didn't want to fucking pull the trigger, didn't want to fucking pull the trigger, didn't fucking pull the trigger, and then they fucking pulled the trigger, and then the motherfucker's got concussions, which apparently he was lying about, right? But allegedly, supposedly, but that's kind of it, right? So this whole thing about oh, it was I mean, just a coincidence that we sent CM Punk's future endeavor on the day of his wedding. Bullshit, right? Because when Fox wanted to fucking put 70% of what Punk's asking price was, Vince McMahon straight out said no. Okay, you only had to pay 30% for Punk, and Vince said no, and he's not welcome back, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's just like it. I had a conversation with a bunch of friends. Like they were like, "Oh, you hate Roman." I don't hate Roman. It's just he's not what I like. Yeah, he's not my view of what a champion is. He's Vince's, and good for Vince, and good for everybody that likes it. I'm not here to shit on why you like him or why you don't, or AEW versus WWE. Watch what you watch. But my first sabbatical, so I didn't even fucking watch. And actually, Graham Farrell. I agree with Ayesha. What Benoit did in the ring was amazing. Him and Angle had great matches. No, 100%. His shit in Japan, incredible, right? Uh, but for me, and this is kind of Squid Game Z, right? Like, could is the fucking guy with the, weird mass singer mask a hero because he presents people opportunity, or is he fucking, a murderer for fucking murdering all these people, right? Yes, it's their free will or whatever, but like, what do you do? This is very WWE esque, where you use whatever the fuck to. For me, this might as well have been WWE Inside Story, Squid Game story, because it's exactly.
What?
Yeah,
Every time you do something wrong,
yeah, or if it doesn't happen on their watch, but because of that fucking hellacious fucking schedule that apparently AEW has figured out to pay top level salaries without fucking darting up the fucking world, right? You're in St. Louis this night, then you're in fucking Maine and whatever, then you're down in fucking San Diego, then you're going to do a Saudi blood money show, then you might be in England. The fucking Paradise from Hell was because they were fucking spread too thin. And yes, they were fucking paid a shit ton, but, you know,
was that worth the headache that happened?
right. So what I'm saying is, like, you could go Vince, amazing genius, blah blah blah, but also Owen, Owen, right? You could Benoit with all the fucking shit they want to do about CTE and everything like that. That's why I think Punk and Cabana should. I don't know if they want or not, but that fucking case against whatever, because Benoit was there the whole time. He showed signs. I mean, of this, the extent of his brain was so deteriorated that he was a 70 some odd year old dementia woman, his brain cognitive ability. There were signs all over the place, right? But this is the same company years later. Punk says, I have a concussion. And yes, during this period, he's hard to deal with or whatever. But maybe he's an asshole. But also maybe it's the effects of a fucking concussion, folks. And you give him Z-Packs that makes him shit himself in the ring.
What is a
Right?
Z? Because we don't have those over here.
It's so I got prescribed it. So I don't know if I was violently shitting myself because of COVID or because they prescribed me Z-Packs because I had constipation because of all the other shit they were pumping through my body, right? Yeah. So I mean, I was violently shitting, but once they had a different name on him, right? And my wife was like Z-Pack, and I was like, oh, CM Punk.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's just like like propofol. I will always associate like oh, we're gonna put you under, and if I see propofol, I was like, fuck you. I'm fucking Bane, and I'm ripping shit out. Like, no, you were not gonna fucking Michael Jackson me, you fucking assholes. So again, and yeah, if you try to fucking murder me, you're pretty much a fucking asshole. I don't care. If you say you do it in the name of Buddha or Christ or the name of the good players because there's a big fucking money bin that's shaped in a pig or whatever, like, you're an asshole. You're a fucking asshole. I'm going to say it now. Don't be like, the show must go on. Woods would have wanted it this way. Fuck off. Fuck all the way off. Like, no. I wanted to live. You guys are an asshole. Why the fuck are we playing this stupid ass game? Just give me the money.
This guy. Oh. So this is one thing I generally wanted to say to you about this game. So we've all rush hour here, right? Do you remember what Chris Tucker says about gangs in the Asian world in Rush Hour? He says it in 1, 2, and 3, and this film actually justifies what he said as well. Hashtag Chris Tucker. Shout out to Chris Tucker. What does he say? See if you can remember.
No, I can't remember. They all blend in with me.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so great. The moment I saw it happen, I wasn't happy. Like, this isn't a thing, but he said it. Follow the rich white man. Remember all these people? Remember all the people in the thing with the masks on?
Yes. Holy
it's
shit.
a saying. It's been said. It is not being. This is not a thing. It is actually a saying. Watch Rush Hour. Follow the rich white man. Look what happens. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. It's and here we go with like Dave Chappelle. Speaking of Netflix, is being canceled for shit. I haven't watched it, so I wanted to watch the Dave Chappelle one. Then it was a weird one where I don't think the whole summer, like, Netflix had anything, whatever. Paying for the app, marrying the kids, watch shit on Netflix, whatever. And it was like, in a fucking week, they dropped everything that I've wanted. Like, they dropped this thing, they dropped the fucking Chappelle, a new season of, what is it, uh, what is it, the fucking, where they fuck up the baking shows. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I just can't remember the name.
Yeah, with Nicole Byer. I remember the host and whatever. The fucking whatever that show is. So yeah, so they did a new fucking season of that. A new season of On My Block, which I've been waiting for. Whatever. Again, go watch On My Block. It's phenomenal. So they dropped like 6 titles within a span of a week or two that I was just like, oh, I don't think I'm watching anything else. But I also fall asleep on everything, so it's taken me 8 days to figure out 6 hours of content. Yeah. No.
Alice in Borderland, you have to watch that too.
Alice in what?
All the Korean stuff that they've actually released on Netflix. It's really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Parasite won the Oscar, and we have that over on Hulu, so I've been meaning to watch that too. There's a lot of shit. But also, this is why I don't like Roman Reigns, right? Going back to this, right? It's just like so many ways that you can consume entertainment. Even fucking YouTube and Instagram and Facebook have their branded fucking content, right? Or their content creators making content for specifically that. You've got every fucking streaming service in the world, including your own WWE network. Where if
No, he's done it. He's still got it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
No, but if you're like, oh, I fucking don't like it. I like Stone Cold. I like Bret Hart. I like Hogan. Who likes Hogan? I don't know. The same guy that likes Kid Rock and fucking Ted Nugent. But that's another story for another day, right? And it's just like, dude, you can't wait. Even like some. I remember telling somebody that there was a particular wrestler, right? And on his lives, he's like, I'm going to wait until everybody gets here. Or more people will join. First off, it makes you look like a fucking, no different than the fucking ass selfie Instagram Bible quote person. Right? Like, I'm going to show ass and tits and whatever the fuck, and also Bible quote, also positivity or whatever the fuck, right? Like, it makes you into a clout chasing whore. That's it. I'm gonna wait until people get here. No, the thing, assuming you don't fucking delete it, it's gonna be up there for fucking ever. So whether people see it now, whatever, people got lives. You're not the center of the world. Nobody is the center of anyone's world, right? You might be an MMA fighter or a pro wrestler. That's such a. If I picked up during my time in Uber, people from WME Endeavor's corporate office in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills adjacent. And they're like, oh, you act? And I was like, no, I'm actually a combat sports, interviewer. What's combat sports? It's like, it's a multitude of things, but most people know the MMA and the UFC. Like, what's UFC? You own the fucking company! You didn't get near an email in your division saying Ronda Rousey, never heard of her. You work for the fucking... If Conor McGregor, the biggest star that MMA, not just the UFC, but the sport of MMA has ever produced, you can not like what the fuck he does and whatever the fuck, and yeah, but he is the biggest box office draw that MMA has ever had. Bellator, UFC, Pride, whatever the fuck. He is the biggest draw. Unquestionably. He hasn't won a fight in how many years? Not that it fucking matters. That's where the Vince ideology of wins and losses don't matter, right? It hasn't mattered for Conor, right? For the last couple of years, right? So with that all being said, if Conor McGregor is saying, hey, cut me in the ownership, 2%, 5%, I think it was like less than 10%. They told Connor no. They told Connor no, and less than a year later, WME Endeavor goes public on the fucking New York Stock Exchange, right? I'm a shareholder of WME Endeavor, right? So if Conor McGregor can't even fucking get it, right? Who the fuck else? And they went public based on obviously the entirety of the work, all of the movie studios, all the actors that they are agents for, all the whatever, the UFC. But the strength of it was their year of 2020. What happened in 2020? Not fucking much, other than July of 2020, UFC starting up first Five Star Arena, then they go to fucking Abu Dhabi and fucking Fight Island, then come back, and then finally the fucking Performance Institute. But they've conditioning people that if there's not a fucking pay per view, there's at least a fight night happening on ESPN, and ESPN is giving the UFC that's funneling up to fucking WME Endeavor, right? The equivalence of 250,000 pay-per-view buys. That's when they still released it. You know, the fucking, the numbers and shit like that, right? The equivalent of 250,000 pay-per-view buys, right? So I'm not a mathematician. I'm kind of good at words, especially the cursey words. But let's say 250,000 times what? 80 bucks for a pay-per-view, and even a fight night will get that same amount, right? So that's 250,000 times 80. That's $20 million. Now again, this shit, they haven't released what the actual numbers are, but just think about that. At the very least, for a pay-per-view, that's what the UFC is getting from ESPN. That's excluding what you pay for the pay-per-view. Built in to their agreement is $20 million. At least last time we heard, what is it, 4 years ago when they signed with ESPN and moved all of their pay-per-views to ESPN Plus here in the States. That's not including the international buy rates. People like, companies like Sky that either, do the pay-per-view themselves or give it for free with the Sky subscription, right? Whatever the fucking case. It doesn't matter, India, Africa. That's just in the US alone. But fighter pay hasn't changed, right? So if Conor McGregor can't even angle, a fucking minutia of ownership stake, right? But they go public on the strength of the year 2020 financials, which is mostly UFC. 95% UFC from July to December. It's fucking Squid Game, folks. The whole thing is fucking Squid Game. The whole thing is pro wrestling. Like, it's the fucking George Carlin bit. And I refer to it more so as a 36-year-old male, father of 4, husband of 15 years, grandfather of 1. It's that fucking George Carlin bit of, it's a big fucking club and you're not invited, right? And that's it, right? The soldiers said, hey, it doesn't matter if we fucking die. What happens with the soldiers? My dad being one of them here in the States, right? He was homeless for 10 years because nobody would hire him because of his war deal. This is at the end of the 60s, flower power, all these, make love, not war, and into the 70s where cocaine and disco would, kind of run the decade, right? And so with that all being said, when my dad, Wednesday, we go to this organization where my dad was a recipient of, the Purple Heart, one of the biggest honors that you could receive as a military person, right? He gets the Order of Purple Heart like eons ago. I didn't even know he was a Order of the Purple Heart. I didn't know his fucking, I never saw his fucking uniform. He almost never talked about it, but he did have PTSD, right? Anytime a helicopter, went overhead, he'd go 90 on the fucking freeway or a residential street, and you go, oh, Charlie's coming to get us. Like, he was there, right? So Wednesday, we go to the Order of the Purple Heart. They go, oh, yeah, anything happens to your dad, we'll take over it. You come here, right? And the relief that washed over my dad's face. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to have to. They got everything. Maybe my fucking service was worthwhile, right? Because all I've gotten so far is 12-hour waits for prescription insulin pen for his diabetes that came early, and arthritis came early because of the fucking Agent Orange chemicals that they were spraying on all the GIs and all of Vietnam, theoretically, right? So that's Wednesday. We walk out. My dad dies Saturday, Christmas of 2010. Monday, I walk in. And then we're like, damn, damn, damn. The same guy that we talked to Wednesday, they're like, damn, damn, damn. Your dad was a part of this fucking class action lawsuit against the U.S. government, blah, 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 whatever. And now that he's dead, you guys don't get anything. Right? And it's like, we were so close. Ayesha and everyone here, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't settled it. Not one, whatever. It's 11 years after my dad passed away. And they gave me a folded flag. That's it? It's like, yeah, well, and it's, we can get him to the, like, the National Cemetery, right? So it was two places, Bakersfield, which we just came from, where my wife is from, 2 hours away from LA, or San Bernardino, good, maybe 2 hours away, right? Outside. And basically, we can bury him there. And I'm like, my dad wouldn't want to, he had no ties there, right? And then, or you could cremate him and then wait 5 years, and then he could be interred at the cemetery in ash form of a mausoleum that they're building right across the road, right? It's like, no, whatever. It's like, but what about he's laying in the fucking morgue in fucking Northridge, California, like, in the hospital. And he's like, yeah, well, everything in the gates, the fucking 21 gun salute and the full military, whatever the fuck, and you'll probably get another flag, or the flag that I just gave you, you can give it to the soldiers, and then they'll fold it and do the whole deal or whatever. So anything that happens, before we get to the gates, you guys have to do. But once he gets in the gates, we got him. So we still have to pay the lion's share of what it is to either get him buried or cremated. At this kind of point, he's already deteriorating and 3 days frozen. You would be there for another month until we figured it out, and the military didn't help once, right? But when it was time, right, my dad couldn't get away. 67, right? He was drafted. He couldn't get away. If you're an 18-year-old male, unless you had a deferment or whatever, like the 45th president, maybe even the fucking guy that's in there now, right? Vince McMahon, for sure. Right? My dad is about the same age range. He'd be about 70. Maybe Vince is 80. I don't know. But that's the thing, right? When you're coming in, come on. Sound familiar? Right? Equal opportunity. Equal opportunity. And you get there, right? This whole bullshit about Roman, oh, he's the top merch seller of all time. 95% of the fucking WWE, fucking .com, shop WWE is Roman Reigns merch. If I wanted a Chad Gable fucking chalk line jacket, or a fucking pair of odd socks with Chad Gable or Otis, could I find it? No. It's easy to sell or be that fucking deal when 95% of everything is skewed towards you. My friend who works for the company, was like, I'm at SummerSlam, I'm at Allegiant. Here's the video of the fucking merch shop, right? And that was the first time I'd heard, oh, the Roman is like top in terms of, outbeating Hogan, outbeating fucking Austin in his prime of total gross revenue, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Pick me up a Nakamura shirt. There's none. But I saw either Roman or actual limited edition WrestleMania fucking shirts. Right? It's the fucking CM Punk. Right? The pipe bomb. It's the fucking, brass ring, the proverbial brass ring. Right? You'll sell out your fucking mom and whatever for an opportunity. Right? But you're the chosen few. I've been to fucking, where I had press credentials along with 200 other media outlets. There's 6 or 7 people that are actually getting the interviews. But you get lunch, you might get a couple pictures. Out of 200 people, 6 are getting the fucking interviews. Is that Squid Games? Fuck yes, it is. Because you could feel like you died. You post on social media, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. People are envious of you, da-da-da. Wow, how the fuck did you get there? Blah, 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 blah. And you get there, and you're at the bottom of somebody else's totem pole. The fucking, the Bianca Belair, the EST. Oh, she's so great for doing it, but that is the complete and utter opposite of what my parents taught me and my sister, in the sense that do not rely on any, I'm paraphrasing it, but any gimmicks. Don't be, I'm the smartest, I'm strongest, I'm the prettiest, I'm the fucking handsomest, I'm the dumbest, I'm the fattest, I'm the shortest, tallest, whatever the fuck. Go down the line. Because that might be true in your fucking circle right now. And then you enter a fucking circle that is different. And you've spent your entire life kind of identifying yourself as such. Shit, it's weird. I'm not anybody's son anymore. My parents are gone.
Everybody should live their life like there's somebody out there that's 5 times better than them. That's how everyone should live their life. Because
theoretically, we should, but we're products of our environments, right? Like we're creatures of habit. I've heard that, right? Like, Woods, why don't you 4:00 on Thursday? We're getting another according to Woods podcast. I'm like, nah, man. Like, that's not cool. I love the fact that people can chime in, like Stephen Tatum said. You gotta stop the island tension, Adam. Acknowledge him. No, fuck him. I'm saying Roman Reigns. I'm not saying Joe Anawahi. I'm saying the Usos, not the Fatu brothers, right? 2 of them are awesome. One of them I might have gotten into a little bit of a skirmish back at Survivor Series 2018. Yeah, I said that because I have the Survivor Series chair right behind me, so just in case I forget. I might have had a skirmish at the hotel bar with one of them. They might have been inebriated. And again, one of the Usos, cool. Sepha, who's just got signed to NXT, and I think they did a promo package for him, coming or whatever. But, I'm not saying anything about the Fatu brothers. I'm not saying that about Joe Anawahi, right? Or Liati Joe Anawahi, right? I'm saying Roman Reigns, right? You obviously got the rocket. The rocket that, was given to Hogan. The rocket that was given to Bruno before Hogan. The rocket that was given to, Stone Cold. And the rocket that has been given to Cena and now you. Right? Don't insult my intelligence with all of these fucking things, right? And again, he outdrew in terms of merch sale everybody in history, right? But did they adjust that for inflation? There is no way that I'm led to believe, right? Pandemic was the best thing that happened to the WWE live fucking experience in business. Because 70% of the arenas going into pandemic were tarped off. That they had to fucking sequester everybody to the TV side. It's happening again! After the first, month and a half, 2 months, 3 months that they've been back? Since Mania? Right? That they have live events again? I mean, shit, tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Somewhere, either tomorrow or Friday, they're in LA. Right? For the first time since probably 2019, right? A house show in Riverside. They're in the Southern California area for a TV tape, right? And I'm hearing some of the same things. Look across Twitter that they're typing off a bunch of shit. And I'm not saying AEW is the fucking end all be all, right? But there's other. If you're a fan of wrestling, hell, it could be Brian Kendrick's Wrestling Pro Wrestling, where there's the Fromage Horseman, where it's comedy wrestling, right? Comedy wrestling, and like the Fromage Horsemen are essentially like names like Parm Anderson, like a guy dressed like Arn Anderson with a Parmesan cheese wheel on his fucking head, and people dig it. That's become like the new PWG. GCW is the new PWG, where PWG was in from what 20. I mean, it's always been, but like definitely 2015 to 2018. I want to say that hot streak where everybody was getting signed left and right. Meltzer and Regal were both in back, right? Checking out the scene and whatever. There's other things, and that's why I'm like, there's Squid Games. There's so many great entertainment options, right? And that's just visual, not including all of the fucking podcasts. Like if you're a podcaster, especially in the wrestling space or the MMA space or the boxing space, all right? Think of people who have drawn money. Austin, Jericho, like people who have the insight of a Bruce Pritchard, a Court Bauer of MLW, Jim Ross, right? Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, right? In the MMA, there's Era Hawani, Luke Thomas, fucking Megan O'Leary, with her husband Joe Benavidez, who is a longtime perennial title contender, one of the greatest of all times in that division to never win a UFC title, right? And they do a podcast. There's so many different podcasts, whatever. Joe fucking Rogan, right? Boxing, Max Kellerman, like whatever. If you are in this space, and that's not including the great podcast kind of like revival or whatever of pandemic where everybody started a podcast, myself included, right? So there's so many fucking ways that you could spend your entertainment dollar, your entertainment, je ne sais quoi, get filled, right? And you have a character that it took 6 fucking years to get over. And again, it's bringing up feelings, right? Feelings of me, right? I'm like, I villainized Martha Hart. Why wouldn't she let Owen go in? Until I read her book. I was like, oh, she's screwing Vince and fucking Brett over. Of course Brett needs his fucking tapes. I'm scared for Harry or D.H. Smith. I don't know. They don't even know what the fuck they called him, right? Harry Smith, the son of the British Bulldog, Natty, the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and the only girl to come out of the dungeon, right? And her husband, T.J. Wilson. Of all the shit that they fucking say about AJ Styles, and I'm not saying that it isn't true, I remember being friends with T.J. Wilson back in MySpace days, right? When they were still touring the Calgary Independent Circuit, as well as, going over to Japan. They were the Next Generation Heart Foundation of, and I think even like Teddy Hart, right? Teddy, Natty, TJ, and Harry were just kind of touring the world, right? And they went to OVW, then they, Teddy got into shit, like Teddy does, and whatever, and they just kept the 3, and now there's 2, and whatever the fuck, right? And to me, it's just like, I would go like, oh no, Brett is doing everything that he can to make sure his nephews and niece are okay. Nah, man. My respect level for Bret Hart, my all-time favorite, has decreased a little bit because he went back to the WWE. Right? The place that killed his brother, that put him at odds with his sister-in-law, and now him nor any of the hearts can see Oj and Athena. Right? You've destroyed families. And then this is what you give me? Like, it's festering. Why didn't you fucking check Benoit's brain? Now you want to do it now because it's a deal. Look at Mauro Ranallo, bipolar rock and roller, a fucking full-length documentary detailing his time in wrestling, MMA, and his bipolar, his schizophrenic diagnosis. And you have fucking JBL shit on him. But be a star. Carnage Cure. Susan G. Komen. So you turn the middle work pink for 1 month. Tribute to the troops. Check out Wounded Warrior and Susan G. Komen, where 70% of your donations go to administrative fees. 30, maybe less than that, actually go to the people that they were supposed to help. Why do people go to college and spend anywhere from $80,000 in a junior college level to maybe $250,000 for 4 to 6 years of education, maybe more than that if they get their masterate or their doctorates, right? And they're like so proud to work for a nonprofit because they can get money working for a nonprofit. It's fucking Squid Game. Squid Game. We're all, I don't, yeah, man. And a Uso who likes to drink. I wonder who that could be. Hey, they can put anybody under the table. The both of them, actually, all three of them, and Steph included. But again, 2 are great, and then the one is I might have seen right before we got into it. Him and his wife, not naming names, but him and his wife get into an Uber and were kicked out of the Uber for being too drunk. And they were taking that Uber to get something to drink and then kind of regress just to staying at the hotel bar. Well, and that's when the altercation happened. Now, again, doesn't mean anything to him. He probably doesn't remember or whatever the fact, but it meant something to me. It wasn't a whole bad thing because D.A. Brewer and Daryl Sharma, 2 of the great NXT referees right now, I met them, because I was so dejected. I was like, fuck this, da-da-da, whatever. And then I saw Daryl Sharma's fucking whale teeth necklace, and I was like, hey, where's that from? Are you from the islands? He's like, actually, I'm from Canada, but my parents are from Fiji. And I was like, I'm from Fiji, but you must be Indo-Fiji. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And we were friends to this day, and whatever. Same thing with D.A. Brewer. So it wasn't all that bad, right? And again, like I said, I want the best for both, Fatu brothers, right? Especially the one that's needing help, because we saw with Benoit, Guerrero, how many other fucking people, 3 MMA fighters, right? Of Luis Pena, Violet Barras, Chuck Liddell, and I can't remember the other one, but just got arrested for domestic violence, right? There's got to be some CTE there. That's why I do things like this, right? Because I want everybody, fighter, wrestler, or whatever, to be comfortable being in front of camera, right? So when they're on Joe Rogan, when they're on Jim Ross, or Eric Bischoff, or wherever the fuck, right? That they make the most out of their opportunity, and maybe don't have to wrestle or fight much longer. And if they do it, they're doing it on their own terms, because they have championship aspirations or whatever, but not the necessity that they have to do it because they got to pay their bills. That's why I do this. And yes, do I love it? 100%. There's shit that maybe it strokes my ego. 100%. 100% that I get to talk to my heroes. I saw Ayesha and Zeta Zhang on the fucking first Mae Young Classic, and I do a weekly podcast for the better part of last year and this year with her, and Zeta Zhang is in my fucking outro. And it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's happening. It's happening in real time, right? So hopefully this is the cog in the matrix. This is the doctor kind of fucking going AWOL, right? The surgeon going AWOL. The one brother who's a cop, trying to find his brother and whatever, and finding out that the brother is the motherfucker behind the thing, along with the old man. You know, like maybe that's this the AMC, GameStop and Dogecoin or Ethereum. What's the other one? The big fucking crypto, Bitcoin, right? Those are the fucking jinx, the kinks in the matrix, the water on the proverbial robot that is the machine, right? That we might be able to have semblance of working 40 hours a week and actually being able to live, right? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you gotta fucking try, you know? And, I'm kind of stepping away from Squid Games a bit. Actually, do you have any more Squid Games related comments? Or
Yeah, yeah, done. You said it all.
I didn't mean to. You're
You
part of the
related
show.
back to wrestling before I did, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, uh, Stephen Tatum says, "You guys' thoughts on the new WoW?" Obviously, for those who don't know, WoW Women of Wrestling, and it's funny because Dave McClain. I don't understand how Dave McClain is essentially doing the fucking same thing for 30 years, right? So Dave McClain starts off Glow, right, in the 80s, that had, fucking the future Ivory, Tina Moretti, right? In its roster, right? Then,
The best.
yes, I mean, and that ultimately later spawns off a Netflix show, of Glow, right? That went 3 seasons on Netflix, one of the highest rated shows for the time on Netflix, and it's funny because the second incarnation of Glow, but the first incarnation of WoW with Dave McClain also kind of spearheading this, right? Which is, it happens almost a decade later, right? Because WoW's 80s or whatever, and I think I was in, so it had to be maybe about 15 years because I was in high school at Inglewood High along with Steven Tatum, and I was in ROTC. And anytime that the fucking anywhere in Inglewood needed bootleg security, rather than just pay the fucking 10 to 15 G's for per event to to fucking have the actual security, they would just cut a check to the ROTC program of Inglewood of about 5 grand, right? They used to shortchange us and had us be the fucking security, right? And it was cool. Was one of the extras in the scene in the first Spider-Man with Bonesaw McGraw, Macho Man Randy Savage. Just filmed that for 3 days, and again, a check was doled out to the Inglewood High ROTC program along with the Spanish language Mencha. I forgot the acronyms for it, but the Spanish language society group in our school, right? And so that was that, but also the forum, the Great Western Forum that everybody knew, the Great Western Bank went into bankruptcy. I want to say 2001. Again, I graduated 2003 along with Stephen Tatum, and Lawrence Jackson, who played in the NFL. Jesus, D Smoke, Daniel Ferris. He was in our graduated class, right? So I'm far from the most popular people just in my fucking class. And people that didn't have fathers or mothers that have gone on to become fantastic parents. Like, it's amazing, right? And that happens everywhere, right? But going back to WoW, well, the forum is kind of in disarray. Great Western Bank, he loses the lease on it. And a megachurch of Faithful Central, an Inglewood-based megachurch, bought the forum for like $18 million, right? But again, they didn't want to pay 15,000 or whatever, so they cut a check to the ROTC. So all but one event, I in the ROTC program was the security for all of the WoW tapings, the first incarnation, which you found out like it was like Jungle Girl, which funny enough, going back to that Spider-Man, what have you, right? I think it's the disciplinarian, Terry Gold, and Jungle Girl were the three girls that were talking shit to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as he's walking down the ramp and whatever. And it was because of them and us knowing them that they brought Bruce Campbell, Tobey Maguire, and Macho Man Randy Savage, as well as Sam Raimi. All of them could not be better people. Like everything that Tobey Maguire has gotten in his life, the enigma that is Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and all the millions of dollars that he brought to the franchise and has done with his career. Macho Man Randy Savage, he really does sound like that. Much like DMX, he really does fucking sound like that. Could have been better. They sat, they ate with us, made sure that, when the fucking catering came or whatever, that we got our box, and we got our box ahead of them. Right? Incredible people. But again, wow. Which one of Eleanor Kerrigan was a part of WoW. She's a big time comedian now, one of the Joe Rogan friends that has also started a podcast and everything like that. She was one of the WoW wrestlers, like at that time, right? And I think the ending of that particular season of WoW was the pay-per-view that had none other than fresh off of WCW when it got bought out, so it had to be about 2001, 2002, was the late great, my greatest of all time in terms of advocates and managers. Bobby the Brain Heenan was on commentary for that fucking WoW, where they had a fucking cage match and somebody took a bump from the top of the cage to the table waiting below, which was amazing considering, just like Glow, WoW, they hired models, which is the precursor to what Johnny Ace did.
Not all of them. There's at least 3 wrestlers, remember?
Okay, so yes. So, what is it? Peggy Sue, who I forgot what she was one of the biker chicks with, with Eleanor Kerrigan, right? Or Kagan. She used to be Peggy Lee, right? And then I want to say Malia Hosaka had a cup of coffee there. And then, Jesus, who was... Oh, fucking Selena Majors. That was it. She was the coach. Selena Majors, had been Bunny in the continental U.S. territory and wrestled for a cup of tea in the WCW as well as WWF for a short stint during, jobbing out to Medusa, Maselli, Alundra Blaze, what have you, right? So there was that. Then the second incarnation of WoW happens, and two of my friends, Michelle and Kita, end up becoming Dagger. Michelle ends up being, and then Kita is Kita Rush, right? And that was, I think I attended one of the last tapings, right, before they went dark, and now here they are with the third incarnation of WoW, and it's weird because so there was the Glow, right? And then the first incarnation of WoW was the one that was taped at the Forum, the Great Western Forum and whatever, or the Forum. And it was WoW. Then the second incarnation, and I don't know if it was a legality or what have you, but it was WoW Superheroes. Yeah. Now it's just back to WoW. So I don't know what happened. And again, Dave McClain, four different incarnations. He either sold the license to or whatever. I don't know what he's done, and they seem to be, within 15 years of each other, right? The only exception is the last WoW that happened, the WoW Superheroes taping that happened in probably sometime in 2019, before pandemic, right? And then this one. So there was only about a year and change that took place in between, right? So there's that. And none other than, this last two incarnations of WoW is Jeannie Buss, the fucking owner of the Lakers. Dave McClain got her to fucking buy it, And I'm not saying anything here or whatever, but if you watch WoW, maybe it's campy. Right? Maybe if you're used to Joshi wrestling of Japan, this might not be your bag, right?
It's
but
a TV studio.
Right. It's TV wrestling. It's almost like what is it, Lucha Underground, but all female, right? So with that all being said, uh, AJ Lee is the new on-screen president commissioner. Tessa Blanchard is back, which she was right. And so first, I think the last incarnation of WoW they had Santana Garrett,
Mm.
right? And then Santana Garrett gets called to the WWE. They put in place Tessa Blanchard, right? And Tessa, in the time since, not good things have come out about her, right? And she relinquished the fucking Impact World title, right? The first woman of any major promotion to complete such a feat, right? Winning a male's world title, right? So now she's back, along with AJ Lee. At the same time, AJ Lee's husband is in AEW, and they released a fucking shirt of Tessa basically acknowledging the shit that everyone says on the internet, and it's nuclear. Nuclear heat. And Tessa's face right on it with a fucking atom bomb. I'm not making any of this shit up. This is wrestling.
Controversy creates cash. Just say it.
So your thoughts? I mean, do you want to speak on it, or are we fucking up a
Oh, I
booking?
genuinely can't wait for it to come back. Any type of wrestling that's on its way back now, with the right type of people at the right time, is all great in my book. And to see AJ as part of the roster is amazing as well. Just to see her back. So.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I called her AJ Lee. I dead named her. Um,
Yeah,
it's AJ Mendez or AJ Brooks, right? Um, and forgive me, AJ. Like I met both her and Punk when he was the premiere of his movie, the fucking where the house was all fucked up and whatever. It was a horror movie that
oh, the woman upstairs.
yes, something like that. Yeah, which I mean, if you're the horror deal,
Yes,
it's like the Soska twins who did See No Evil with Kane and everything like that. They're wrestling fans and great provocateurs in terms of the horror genre, right? So I saw him. It was all of a maybe $6, maybe $9 ticket. It was like $6 and then $3 fucking admission fees or whatever the fuck. But for that, I walk in and there's Punk and AJ. They could not have been nicer. Now, are there nuances? Yeah, there was some like maybe some what is it? How would I say? Cleanliness challenge wrestling fans that might have not bathed, right? And he was signing autographs, but he had his maybe his agent or a handler have a again. This is pre-pandemic. This is 2019. Has a bottle of Puro hand sanitizer, and he sanitizes his hands and everything like that. But willing to talk to anybody. I had him sign a sport coat that I had, and it was fucking CM Punk. I'm like, blubbered mouth, whatever. I had one other autograph on it, and he's like, "Who's that?" And I might have said the Great Muda, right? Or maybe I whatever. But he took time to fucking like it wasn't like or uh $1,000 in an elevator. Yeah, Hulk Hogan, I'm looking at you, fucker. Um, you know, like that's it, right? And now that jacket is not just the Great Muda CM Punk, but it has Rocky Romero and Minoru Suzuki also signed. So pretty fucking cool. But yeah, so I like what you said. Like anytime that there's wrestling and opportunity and done well and production, and that's what I say. I continue to say there has never been more money in combat sports, whether you call it boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, Lethway, pro wrestling, female MMA, men's MMA, whatever. There's never been more money in it, right? And when you have the Young Bucks, right, t- towards the end of their indie run and the formation of AEW, they're making more in merch than they do in their bookings, which they were probably some of the top indie talent commanding the fucking fees and travel and trends that former WWE superstars with, and they never did it. The whole reason why New Japan and the Bullet Club and the Cody and everybody began the relationship with Hot Topic, a worldwide brand that could be found in pretty much every major fucking mall, right? That has survived the fucking pandemic, was because the WWE was courting them, right? Courting them, and at the same time they wanted Bullet Club shirts, right? And the fucking WWE pulled out. And again, this is one of the fucking things about people not buying what WWE is selling, right? They pulled them out to fucking Mania, right? I think that was like the Daniel Bryan Mania in New Orleans, right? One of the fucking Manias. I can't remember which, right? Pulled them out to Mania, all expenses paid, red carpet, meet all the superstars, whatever. And at the end of the weekend, as the attaché, just like you had sponsors, none other than fucking Paul Levesque, Triple H, is their attaché, right? And they're like, this is all cool and well, but wear the Bullet Club shirt. And Triple H had to go, that's not ours. And Monday morning, here in Southern California at the Hot Topic headquarters, they went and put out a fucking email or whatever and found out the Bucks were in Rancho Cucamonga, less than an hour away. The rest they say is history, right? So there's never been more more money in combat sports, right? Never been more podcasts, Instagram, the social media, any way to get yourself out there, right? And yes, like I said, we have the Benoits, we have, the Rafe drug addictions of some of our heroes, a lot of our heroes, right? Sherry Martel. God, I miss Sherry Martel. She would have fit so well in here, like in this era. She would have been so appreciated, and it's not happening. So, and then, like I said, the domestic violence that befell of three, notable people within the UFC, right? Whether they're there now, like Luis Pena, or they're a fucking Hall of Famer like Chuck Liddell. There's got to be CTE somewhere, right? You don't make it out alive, right? So that's why I say every wrestler set up a fucking merch store, Shopify, Pro Wrestling Tees. Same thing with the fucking MMA fighters and boxers, and actually think about it. We have Fiverr, right? Fiverr, where you can for $10 create a fucking logo. Ayesha, BigFemVader, she's rocking her fucking merch.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Buy it.
You can buy it. I want everyone to start a podcast. Everyone to start a fucking, a merch store, and actually give thought. Like, what would people want to fucking wear rather than just the fucking cheapest thing in the warehouse? Oh, it's a lime green with a bunch of fucking sponsors and just your name on it. Well, they're going to buy from you one time, and never buy a ticket, a piece of merch, or whatever, and they're going to throw that piece of merch away. Where, if you met cool shit, again, there are people this is a Roots of Fight Andre the Giant t-shirt. I know there's people that fucking know this and are not even wrestling fans. They love Roots of Fight and what they do. I love Roots of Fight and what they do. Shepard Fairey, right? Obey. How many people that wear Obey and not even know that it's fucking Andre the Giant? Or not even watch wrestling at all? Right? So that's what I'm saying. Make yourself a commodity. So fucking undeniable that nobody can tell you no. And if they tell you no, cool, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to start my own promotion. If fucking Vince McMahon, I was on the fucking conference call because I am a shareholder of the WWE, right? Where he's like, oh, in jest, like, oh, why don't we just, fucking release a whole roster full of people? And that's essentially what happened. Within 24 hours, Wyndham Rotunda is gone. One of the biggest merch sellers, right? Even with the SKUs that they gave him, right? He doesn't have the 95% market share that Roman Reigns has and John Cena before him. He didn't have the wherewithal to be like, I should go over on Taker as the new king of the Hocus Pocus. Fuck! Here's the thing, but most people are like, Oh, Deuce and Domino. I love the '50s gimmick, right? Like, or the second generation wrestlers, right? Well, Eggman, which Undertaker could have very well been coming out of the fucking egg at Survivor Series way back when, right? He could have been Eggman. Well, what's the reason why Jimmy Snuka Jr. or Deuce of Deuce and Domino, right, gets the fucking future endeavor? Because he fails to catch Taker. Taker could fire people. Wyndham Rotunda didn't. Even with his fucking dad as one of the fucking producers in IRS. You know? He's a third generation wrestler. The grandson of fucking Blackjack Mulligan. The nephew of the great Barry Windham. The son of Mike Rotunda IRS. And his brother there. And he got future endeavor. Whatever. So why Roman? Why not fucking Harris Smith? It's because they don't want you. They don't want you. And that's the thing. That's why I say anybody that wants to start a podcast or do interviews or whatever, go ahead. Because if they want according to Woods, they'll hire according to Woods. But if some gal comes in with the tight, it's happened many, many times, tight skirt or whatever, or somebody with a fucking college educated degree, or might have a verified check mark, well, now the role that according to Woods was supposed to be fitted into is no longer there. The not please don't talk about pro wrestling on the channel. And now they're on the channel of pro wrestling with their MMA content. So again, if it's a spot for me, it'll be there for me. But if they want Ayesha Raymond or the cavalcade of tenured talents in the ring, in the cage, behind the scenes. If Jimmy Smith, the voice of Bellator, the cornerstone of Bellator, and he goes on, right? And when Bellator doesn't renew his contract, well, him and Sean Wheelock. Sean Wheelock is doing shit with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC, and he's doing great. And then, you know, basically Jimmy Smith gets released by Bellator, goes on Rogan. Rogan advocates for Jimmy Smith to get hired by the UFC. And it happens within a week of him appearing on Rogan's podcast. And he lasts a fucking year. And now Jimmy Smith cannot get a job in MMA, being one of the best analysts, even by Joe Rogan's admission. And what's Jimmy Smith doing now? He's the voice of Monday Night Raw. The worlds are colliding. MMA and pro wrestling. You got Tom Lawler, fucking Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, what have you, right? Shayna Baszler, Matt Riddle going to MMA. AEW, Dan Lambert, Junior Soto Santos, Paige Van Zandt, Arthur Vanderford, Jorge Masvidal did the fucking Ben Askren flying knee to Jericho, and it got a golf clap because nobody knew who the fuck they were. Because pro wrestling audiences are sequestered from MMA audience and vice versa. But if you talk to pro wrestlers, they love MMA. If you talk to MMA fighters, they love pro wrestling. You know? So the world is changing. Get you some of this fucking money. Start a podcast. Start a merch store. Do everything. Do every fucking podcast you can. It's going to be something. Maybe not now. Maybe not tomorrow. Again, people are getting released because they're making $250,000 on Twitch. You better fucking start a Twitch channel. This very podcast has a Twitch version for that reason. But also, it's to expand the net. I can't say, oh, this didn't happen for me because they didn't see me. I'm going to be seen. And the people that are guests, that are co-hosts with me, are going to be seen. Because if not, then why the fuck am I doing this? Why are any of us doing it? We might as well just fucking not red light, green light. I kind of read red light, green light there, Adam. No. Yeah, and just getting fucking shot. You know? It doesn't matter if you're trying to save yourself or somebody else. Somebody's grabbing at your fucking feet. You're gonna die. What does Octorose say? Welcome to the jungle. You're gonna fucking die. So if you know that's your endpoint anyway, live. create as much opportunity for yourself and what have you. So again, maybe this shit is rigged. Maybe we're living in simulation. Maybe the earth is round. Maybe the earth is flat. I don't fucking know. Get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine. Vote this way, vote that way. Pray to this, chant to that. Marry who, marry not who. Don't get married. Be a player. I don't give a shit. Do what you do. Do what you want. Do what you fucking want, man. That's all I say. That's it. That's all I got.
And that was Woods on Squid Games. So Woods, where can they find all your interesting stuff? With Swap Faces?
Yeah, according to Woods across the board, the podcast is Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And then according to Woods everywhere else, where you can get fucked up memes of people getting slammed on their fucking noggins.
Really? Or
Yes.
you can type in @BigFemVader into everything humanly possible. Buy all the awesome merch and see your new UPW Women's Champion with my awesome belt.
Congratulations. Hell yes. Yes. All right. So take care, spike your hair. Thank you guys for watching. There actually will be another, according to Woods, right after this with ring announcer Jeff Way. That's immediately following this, so definitely stay tuned for that. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to everything Ayesha's doing. Buy some fucking merch. And we will see you soon with more according to Woods.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure